Most people throw this away every single day. I'm using it to heat a room, keep my food cold, and grow 40 pounds of vegetables. And I spent $85 total. Let me show you exactly how. Look, I'm not going to sell you a fantasy here. I'm not talking about a $4,000 solar setup or a generator that eats gasoline every 3 days. I'm talking about a system, 3 connected parts, that runs off stuff you're literally putting in the trash right now. Kitchen scraps, food waste, organic material. And together, these 3 parts create a loop. One feeds the next feeds the next, and the whole thing costs less than a tank of gas. Let's break it down. Here's what we're building today. Part 1. The compost heat coil. This heats a room or a greenhouse using nothing but decomposing kitchen and yard waste. Part 2. The Zero pot cooler. A zero electricity refrigerator that keeps your food cold using 2 clay pots and wet sand. Part 3. The wicking scrap bed. A self-watering garden system that runs on the finished compost from Part 1. Each one works alone, but together, they become a survival infrastructure you can build in a weekend. Stay with me. This is going to change how you think about waste forever. Part 1. The compost heat coil. The pile that pays you back. Okay, so most people know composting turns waste into garden gold. What most people don't know is that a decomposing pile of organic matter generates serious heat. We're talking 120 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit at the core, sustained for months. A French farmer named Jean Pain figured this out in the 1970s. He ran his entire homestead, hot water, heating, cooking gas, off a giant compost mound. We're doing a simplified version of that, and here's exactly how. What you need: 1 cubic yard of wood chips, straw, and kitchen scraps mixed. Free or nearly free, contact a local tree service company. 50 feet of black polyethylene tubing, $18 at any hardware store. 2 garden hose connectors, $6. A small 12-volt water pump, $14 on Amazon. Total for Part 1, $38. Here's how you build it. Step 1. You're going to coil your tubing inside the pile as you build it up. Think of it like winding a hose into a spiral starting from the bottom center and working your way up. Step 2. Leave both ends of the tubing sticking out of the pile. One is your inlet, one is your outlet. Step 3. Connect the pump to the inlet side. Run the outlet tubing into whatever space you want to heat: a small room, a tent, a greenhouse, a camper. Step 4. Fill the system with water. Turn on the pump. The pump circulates water through the coil. The decomposing pile heats the water. The hot water runs through tubing in your space and radiates warmth. 1 cubic yard of properly built compost will hold heat for 4 to 6 months through the winter. And what do you have at the end of those months? Finished compost, which goes straight into Part 3. Pro tip: mix your pile at a 4:1 ratio. 4 parts carbon, that's wood chips, straw, dry leaves, to 1 part nitrogen. That's your kitchen scraps, grass clippings, coffee grounds. Keep it moist, like a wrung-out sponge, not soaking wet, not dry. That ratio is what generates maximum heat. Don't skip it. Part 2. The Zero pot cooler. The fridge that needs no plug. This is probably the simplest thing I'm going to show you today, and also the one that shocks people the most. Because it actually works. Like, legitimately works. People in Northern Africa have been using this for thousands of years to keep food fresh in desert heat. Here's the science in 1 sentence. Evaporation pulls heat out of whatever it's touching. That's it. That's the whole thing. What you need: 1 large unglazed clay pot, $12 at a garden center. 1 smaller unglazed clay pot that fits inside the first with a gap, $8. A bag of coarse sand, $5. Water, a wet cloth or burlap to cover the top. Total for Part 2, $25. Here's how you build it. Step 1. Pour about 2 inches of sand into the bottom of the large pot. Step 2. Set the smaller pot inside. Center it. Step 3. Fill the gap between the 2 pots all the way up with sand. Step 4. Saturate the sand completely with water. Pour it in slowly until no more absorbs. Step 5. Put your food, vegetables, eggs, or drinks inside the inner pot. Step 6. Cover the top with a wet cloth. That's it, you're done. As the water in the sand evaporates through the porous outer clay wall, it pulls heat out of the inner chamber. On a dry day with some airflow, even a light breeze, the inside of that inner pot can be 30 to 40 degrees cooler than the outside air. In a 90-degree room, you're looking at 50 to 60 degrees inside. That's refrigerator temperature. Now here's the survival niche connection. Grid goes down, it's summer. You've got fresh garden vegetables and eggs sitting on your counter in the heat. Most people panic. You? You fill a pot with sand and water. The kitchen scraps connection here is indirect but real. You're preserving the food that the rest of your system grows. And the water you use to re-wet the sand can come from your garden runoff or rainwater collection. Nothing wasted, everything connected. Part 3. The wicking scrap bed. The garden that waters itself. A simple container garden with lush plants, water reservoir visible at bottom. Alright, part 3 is where the whole loop closes. The compost from part 1, that dark, rich, finished material, becomes the growing medium here. And the system itself is built almost entirely from materials you'd otherwise throw away or already have sitting in a garage. What you need: one large plastic storage tote or food-grade barrel cut in half. $0 to $10 depending on what you have. PVC pipe, 2 inches wide, about 12 inches long, $4. A wicking cloth or old t-shirt material, free. Finished compost from part 1, free. A drill with a 1/2-inch bit. Total for part 3, $14 to $22. Here's how you build it. Step 1. Drill a hole near the top of the tote, about 2 inches from the rim. This is your overflow drain, marks the max water level. Step 2. Drill your fill tube hole. Cut your PVC pipe at a 45-degree angle on one end, insert it through a hole near the edge, angled end down, so it reaches into the water reservoir at the bottom. Step 3. Cut your wicking cloth into strips. These go through a few small holes drilled in the bottom section of the tote and hang down into the reservoir. They're what pulls water up into your soil. Step 4. Fill above your overflow hole level? Nope. Fill below it. Water sits in the bottom third. Your compost soil mix fills the top 2/3. Step 5. Plant directly into the compost. The wicks pull moisture up constantly. Roots chase the moisture down. Plants in a wicking bed grow 2 to 3 times faster than conventional beds because they're never stressed. Never too wet, never too dry. The kitchen scrap loop here is direct. Your vegetable peels go into the compost pile. The pile heats your space through the coil. The finished compost comes out and fills this bed. This bed grows you new vegetables. New vegetables make new scraps. The loop starts again. Let's zoom out for a second. Part 1, compost coil, takes your kitchen scraps, heats your space for months, gives you finished compost at the end. Part 2, Zero pot, takes zero electricity, keeps your fresh food and garden harvest cold and safe, works with any climate as long as you have airflow. Part 3, wicking scrap bed, takes the finished compost, grows food with almost zero watering effort, produces new kitchen scraps to restart the cycle.